Hi everyone, happy spring. Today is the spring equinox, which means the sun is right above the equator. It is the same amount of day and night for the entire world today. So there's also a really big energy shift happening. I know I'm feeling it the last 24 hours. I've had a really bad migraine, much better this morning than I was yesterday. I had to push off a lot of personal readings yesterday. Because if you've been following me for a while, you guys know that I'm really sensitive to the planets and the way things shift. And so if you're expecting a personal reading from me, whether it's a video recorded reading or an email reading, I will be trying to catch up today. I do want to remind everybody with email readings that if you have ordered one from me, I think they're sold out now until April, but if you've ordered one from me, it's taking about 10 days to get to you. Please send your question and your sign right away directly to my email, spirituallyfearless1111@gmail.com. It's all over, the email address is all over my website. If you do not, and I have to ask you for your question and your sign, that will delay your reading. Also, if you email and ask me when you're going to get your reading, if you email me and expect me to email you back asking when you're going to get your reading, that will delay your reading. So please just know you will get them between 10 and 14 days. I'm really trying to get them out between 10 days or up to 10 days after order. So please just be patient with me. It is coming. It was a huge rush of email readings that came in. So that's why I had to cut it off and wait until April to release some more. So happy spring. I hope everybody's doing well. We're going to look into the divine masculine and the divine feminine today. Kind of see how everybody's doing this week. Mercury and Venus are conjunct today in Aries. So, and I'm feeling like I'm losing my voice already, which is really interesting because Mercury is going retrograde in a couple of days. So it's almost like if you feel like you have some harsh communications that you want to say, you'll feel like you want to start a fight in some way. Or if that is building up, or you feel like there's some kind of tension within you, try and relax, take deep breaths, maybe take a salt bath, really focus on taking care of yourself during this time because you don't want to say something that you're going to regret later. I know that I've had a lot of people ask me, why am I just saying things and not really meaning it, but saying it anyways, or I have meant it for a long time, and finally it's all coming out, and it's coming out in the wrong way. It's because of the way Mercury is in Aries right now, Venus is in Aries. We really want to open our hearts and spill our guts, but the communication could be really harsh right now. So just kind of take your time with everybody and be really patient and be really kind to everybody right now, and especially yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you've done something unexpected. It's going to be fine. The universe is working in ways that it's supposed to. If there are things that you really do need to say, maybe write it down and wait until tomorrow and then reread it and see if it's the way that you really want it to be portrayed, because you may have things to say and say it in a completely wrong way, right? So we're going to look into the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I'm going to start with the divine masculine. I was going to do the divine feminine first, but I keep getting this push and this urge that the divine masculine is kind of pulling back a little bit right now. And I think a lot of that does have to do with really wanting to communicate or needing to communicate and not feeling comfortable enough to do it. Because I do know that the divine masculine has been dealing with a lot of emotional ups and downs lately. So let's kind of see what advice Spirit has for the divine masculine this week from the 19th to the 25th. Mercury is going retrograde on Thursday. It will be retrograde in Aries until April 15th. This is a really good time right now because we are in the pre-shadow period still, but it's getting there. I think a lot of people are actually feeling it. I know I am. I didn't think it was going to be that harsh on me, and the closer it gets, the more I feel so I really am urging you to get your car serviced, make sure like all your appliances are running right, your computers, your phones, all that stuff. So, Divine Masculine, healing begins for the 19th. The 19th to the 25th, healing begins. That's really good. I kind of feel like if there have been some blockages within you guys, within the Divine Masculine, and remember, we all have the Divine Masculine and the Divine Feminine within us. When I say that, I mean like, you know, I was born as a woman, so yes, I identify as the Divine Feminine, but to come into balance as a being of energy, as a human, you really have to resonate and identify with your Divine Masculine side as well. So both sides, you will resonate with one or the other, depending on where you are in your journey, in your life, and how things are progressing for you. So keep that in mind. If you are a female, and of course, you know, even in like same-sex relationships, one will resonate with the Divine Masculine more than the other, will resonate with the Divine Feminine. But if you are in, you know, if you are a straight woman, and you resonate with the Divine Feminine normally, but then this reading comes up and you're like, wow, I really resonate with that. Take those messages and see what you can learn from them, because you may be resonating with the Divine Masculine. Oftentimes the Divine Masculine is the quote-unquote runner in a relationship. So if you're the one that's backing off and you're the one that is like, you know, I'm not chasing him anymore, like I'm not doing that, you could be really resonating with the Divine Masculine at this point. So just keep that in mind as the reading goes along. Healing begins really makes me feel like there might be some open communication with the Divine Masculine, because I do feel like they've kind of held things in for a while, not wanting to rock the boat, or not feeling confident enough to say something, or really just kind of closing themselves off to the possibility of needing, right, communication. Eight of Wands. And oftentimes I feel like healing does begin with communication. With the Eight of Wands, you know, you have a direction that you want to go. And this is like the Sagittarius card to me. One of the minor arcana Sagittarius cards, because this is like pointing the arrow and going. You know, Sagittarius is the archer, right? So, and then we have the Four of Cups. If the Divine Masculine does try to communicate and they get this Four of Cups back from the Divine Feminine, I do feel like this will be a moment, an opportunity for them to kind of recognize or realize that the Divine Feminine is possibly going through their own healing. The Four of Cups is often about meditation too, contemplation. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like apathy and feelings. This guy's like sitting there and meditating, and he has his feelings surrounding him. It's like he's kind of contemplating all of that around him. Six of Swords talks about mental balance, mental clarity. So there really is a lot of thoughts about like, where are my emotions? Where are they going? And needing to come into that balance of mental clarity. You know, a lot of people say the Six of Swords is going from rougher waters into calmer waters. And it could be that the Divine Masculine is communicating this, saying, or just even thinking about communicating it. If the Four of Cups is him thinking, like sitting there with his emotions, and he's like, I don't know, I'm kind of coming to this conclusion where, you know, I kind of want to communicate with her, but I'm not really sure. And if your Divine Masculine or your Divine Feminine is still asleep, if your Divine Masculine is still, it's not quite awake yet, I feel like this energy shift that is happening this time, this Mercury retrograde, going into Mercury retrograde this week, is really giving everybody an opportunity to step back for a minute and kind of look at the bigger picture and take in everything that's going on. With both sides. you know. I do feel like there have been plans made by the Eight of Pentacles. I love it when the cards do that to me. The Eight of Pentacles is like making plans. It's like building up that future, building up that stability in your life. And I do feel like if he's coming into mental balance and realizing, you know, there is so much that I've been holding inside and there's so much that I truly want to get out, I'm going to build that up with the Eight of Pentacles. You know, like I'm going to open myself up and recognize that I do have this life that I've been trying to build, and what's the purpose? What's the meaning? Why am I working so incredibly hard and yet I still don't feel clear. I still don't feel balanced mentally. Knight of Cups. So it's all for the sake of love, for offering love, for giving love. And I think that there is a want and a need to, you know, find something stable in his life. And I think that that was kind of the theme, I guess you could say, for the last couple of weeks. Is it's like the divine masculine is really starting to recognize where in his life things are so unbalanced, where he's feeling trapped, you know, where he's feeling trapped in his emotions, and what makes him feel free with the Eight of Wands. And where he needs to find that, like, how do I get that mental stability? And he could be traveling as well. And if it's not this week, then he's putting plans together to travel. He's trying to build up something. But I do truly believe that there's this very healing aspect. And if you are a divine masculine that feels like your divine feminine has kind of stood back or pulled back, there's a reason for that. There's a reason that, and it's so that you can find this mental balance. It's so that you can find this clarity and this knowing that the healing starts with you. And if we're going from the Eight of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles, it's like he's thinking, like, how am I going to build my future? What is that going to look like? And he's really up in his head about it. Eight of Swords. So we have two eights here, three eights here, which talks about infinity, you know? So coming to, you know, the number 8 is the infinity symbol. So coming to the conclusion that there's like really this circle of life that's going on around him. And if there is a possibility that your divine masculine is waking up this week, and I feel like a couple might, or I feel like some might be. I feel like there's, because of this big energy shift that is happening, it's almost like a recognition that something has been missing. They feel so antsy. You guys feel so antsy right now. Like, I've got to go. I have a direction, and I really need to get going in that direction. Because I feel like it's getting to the point to where you just don't recognize yourself anymore. And if that's the case, then you're definitely going in the right direction, because I feel like there is definitely some mental stability happening with the Six of Swords. Page of Wands and the Four of Swords. So communication from all ends. The Page of Wands to me is the divine masculine actually listening. I said actually listening. I didn't mean it in that way. What I mean is sometimes we have been so closed off, Sometimes when we've been so closed off, like the Four of Cups, and the communication starts happening and the mental balance starts happening, and that healing starts to happen, there's like this little voice inside the divine masculine's head saying, you're going on the right track, and it's time to retreat. Think about all the ideals you need to cut ties with the Four of Swords. If you look at that, there are those ties on there that need to be cut, that have been cut. Cut ties with the ideals of the way you think life is supposed to be and what 3D version that life is supposed to be in, and rebuild it in a way that brings you back into balance and healing. I do feel like the divine masculine has a direction and will possibly communicate. I feel like some will really be communicating, possibly over the internet with a lot of them. Some of them may still be in this Four of Cups state throughout the week. But that's okay. Because with Mercury retrograde, you don't want to say something you are going to regret later. And it kind of starts today with Mercury and Venus and Aries. Like you really want to be able to, I feel like the divine masculine really wants to do this right. Like the first time. Get it done the first time. Right. Yeah? We do have the Hierophant on the bottom of the deck and the Ace of Swords. So there's a lot of clarity in the control that he wants to have in his life. And it may go a little bit slow. You may feel like it's going slow. But I do feel like that there is an opening up and a healing. And a lot of times when somebody is healing or when people are healing, you have to give them that time, you know. Sorry about that. Scratchy throat. Okay, so the divine feminine. Let's see how the divine feminine is doing this week. What kind of advice Spirit has. Control. So there's a possibility, a need, and the first thing I'm feeling is that you need to control emotions. You need to control the things that you say. You need to control where you're going and what you're doing. Like really kind of try and balance yourself out, because if the divine masculine does want to communicate with you, but withdraws a little bit this week or is drawn back, you don't want to get upset about it and think something different. If you're not in contact with your divine masculine, and you're really feeling the urge to contact them, especially today, you might want to take some time and think about that before you do it. Because I do feel like there will be a need to control emotions right now. And I also feel like there might be a need to come into control of your life a little bit. I'm not sure if some divine feminines are feeling like their lives are a little bit out of control, like there may need to be some more organization happening. Some of you might feel kind of on guard, kind of defensive with the Seven of Wands. If you are feeling very on guard, then definitely control your emotions. And it could be that you're feeling really on guard because things are moving awfully slowly for you right now. And everybody's talking about the Knight of Pentacles. This is a very slow movement, very stagnant feeling. But the Knight of Pentacles is still moving forward. It's just slowly. And sometimes that slowness needs to happen to keep a stable, steady pace, right? So if you feel like things are going really, really slowly and you want to like jump all over somebody because you're like, oh my God, I just want it to go. I just want it to happen already. You know, just breathe. I feel like there's a big need for a lot of divine feminines to just kind of take a step back, look at things in a different way, and understand that everything is happening in divine timing. And even if it is going slowly, the divine timing is working for your benefit and not against you. I know it really sucks to think about that, but, and I do feel like some divine feminines are kind of standing their ground. We have the devil, maybe working really, really hard right now. We do have Mars and Saturn in Capricorn, the beginning of April. Mars and Saturn, sometimes when it's squared up, is really, or conjunct actually, that's kind of like a iffy planetary alignment. But in Capricorn, everybody's behaving, and I feel like this is a really good time to work really, really hard and to stand your ground. Eight of Pentacles is telling, it's really funny how the Divine Masculine got all the other eights, and now we have the Eight of Cups. It's like they're building and they're communicating and they're really, you know, sitting up in their head, and then Divine Masculine is being urged to have control over those emotions and possibly walk away from stuff that, and emotions that aren't serving them well. And it could be that very defensive or that very obsessive. There are some divine feminine that could be really obsessing over a relationship with the divine masculine and needing, you know, like wanting to have affection and needing to have affection and begging for that affection or wanting to beg for that affection, and it's not happening. And so they're getting very defensive because it's going really slowly, and they need to walk away from that and not obsess over it and really kind of control those emotions and look at things in a different way, where the divine and remember the divine masculine is healing, is going through a very big healing process right now and trying to come into mental clarity. And if you know your divine masculine and you want to contact them and be like, why are you not talking to me? You know, and get really defensive with them. Really know that they're not doing it to you on purpose, that there's a reason for that healing. And if you do, plant that seed and wait for it and just trust in the divine timing with the Seven of Pentacles. The divine masculine will open up to it. Open up to the possibility. Open up to the thoughts. You know, come into that mental clarity and maybe communicate with you. But if you, like, don't control your emotions in that, they will possibly get, like, super jumpy about it. And you don't, at this point, it's very, the Mercury-Venus conjunction, once the cat's out of the bag, once you start blabbering all over the place, it's really hard to pull that back in, right? It's really hard to fix something like that. Six of Pentacles. You really, the divine masculine or feminine really wants to have this reciprocity, this give and take. And if they feel like they've been watering this the whole time, and their divine masculine, that's something that we have to walk away from, and we have to empower ourselves to do that. Right? Not giving them all of that attention and not giving that all of that, you know, because that's like wasted energy being used. It's so funny. I was told one time by telling the divine feminine to stand up for themselves and be more empowered, that I was gaslighting at one point, which is really interesting to me. It's like, because I'm saying that you don't have to beg for affection, that you don't have to have all of these emotions and keep begging for affection from your divine masculine, that I'm saying to completely like walk away from that emotional standpoint. Because if you are giving too much and you're not getting anything back, sometimes standing back and possibly walking away for a while is what's needed, right? I just thought it was very interesting that somebody thought that I was trying to tell the Divine Feminine not to stand up for themselves. Or that in standing up for yourself to the Divine Masculine was gaslighting. It's very interesting. I fully believe in everything the Divine Feminine is having to do right now in her life by being empowered and not being attacked physically, emotionally, mentally, verbally, in any way, shape, or form. At the same time, we cannot turn around and do that to the Divine Masculine if he's trying to heal. Like, that's where that thin line of love and hate comes from, right? I'm not saying to just let him do whatever he wants to do and treat you like shit. No, please, do never, never, never let a man or a woman or whoever your Divine Masculine is, don't ever let them treat you poorly, because you deserve so much better. You do need to stand up for yourself. But there's a difference between standing up for yourself and being defensive. There's a difference between having all of these emotional things that aren't serving you and walking away from the things that aren't serving you because you will not allow the Divine Masculine to treat you poorly, right? But at the same time, in loving another person, in learning how to unconditionally love another person and unconditionally love yourself, you cannot treat another person poorly when they're going through a healing process, especially. Because I feel like the Divine Masculine is very vulnerable right now. And there are a lot of men out there that will show that vulnerability in a really, really bad way. And then there are a lot of men out there that are going to show that vulnerability and be open to the process. And so really kind of use your own discretion in how you open up yourself or close yourself down. But try not to obsess about needing communication. Because I do feel like the Divine Masculine will open up as the healing goes on this week. I do feel like there will be reciprocity as the healing goes on this week. Just remember to keep an open mind, because there's a very, very, very thin line there that could easily be crossed, right? Between just being angry and being overly defensive. We have the Six of Swords. So really coming into that mental clarity will bring... And I kind of feel like that the Divine Feminine is focusing on a lot of work, like 3D, like outside work, actually going to work this week. I feel like there might be some need, like I said at the beginning, like some need for control in her environment, bringing things back into control. With the Six of Swords and the Six of Pentacles, that's really finding that mental balance within will really bring balance in the 3D version. So what's some final advice we can get for the Divine Feminine on not being super defensive, but standing up for yourself at the same time? Because I think that I mean, I know I do that a lot. And, you know, it's like, sometimes I want to be standing up for myself, but I get really, really defensive. Like, ridiculously defensive. And it's because, you know, I have been beat down by men my whole life. So it's really hard for me to unlearn something like that and to relearn a different pattern. So what's some final advice for the Divine Feminine? Balance, control, Six of Wands. So once we get, and we have the Empress at the bottom of the deck with the Hierophant and the High Priestess. So there's a lot of really empowering yourself, using your intuition, knowing your knowledge, taking control of your life. With the Six of Wands, once we have that mental balance with the Six of Swords, right? And then we get that balance in our outside world, that stability in our outside world, that Six of Pentacles, give and take, reciprocity, that's when we have victory. With the Six of Wands, that's when we can be empowered. Yeah? Fantastic. I hope you guys have a really wonderful week, and thank you so much for all of your patience with the general readings. If you would like to have a personal reading, check out the InstantGo app, or you can go on my website, fearlessintuition.net. I do want to remind everybody that all of the readings through March, all of my personal readings through March will be 10% off. Regular prices do start back up on the 1st of April. So use the coupon code NOFEAR, NOFEAR. There's no space in between, just one word, NOFEAR, and you'll get 10% off all of my products and services. And I will be announcing some events happening towards the end of will be announcing events that will be happening later this week, and those events will be in April. So, yeah. Have a really great week, and I will see you guys next week. And if you do have a personal reading that you're waiting for from me, I am playing catch up today. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.